because again, how many lawyers were we in training at that time? Just first year alone, we were about 130 of us, just first year. So imagine another 130, another 130. By the time we're in fourth year, how many are we competing for the same jobs? So for me, I was like, okay, I may not get a job, but I have to figure out my why and my what, right? So that is how now that's how things now opened up for me. And now I did a lot to find my why. My why was a lot of volunteering, a lot of talking, a lot of research. And I had to be bold in some of the things I would do. So I would just, if I meet a celebrity and I would ask them, okay, do you use a lawyer? Why don't you use a lawyer? And I'd ask all these questions. And I'm like, oh, and I read in the papers, you had this thing. How did you handle it? Is Pulse telling the truth? You know, that was the length of my research. I wasn't sure where it was taking me at the time, but that is how bold I had to be at that time so that I figure it out. And then the more I had from the people on the ground, now the more I would read. And I'm like, okay, is there anything in common law? Is there anything in our statutes? That is just generally, then for me, I opened the doors.
Oh, wow, that's actually very profound. And I know some of our listeners, as you hear, you're wondering to yourself, have I really done this? Am I still going through the motions? Am I still trying to appreciate what a career could be and what a job is and how any of these things are linking to what it is that I want to do? And this is why I just want to do a really quick pulse test. There's a poll that I'm going to launch right now for the next, let's say, 1 minute. Let's know what it is that you are doing as an individual. We have 2 questions. Kindly please just take a vote. Am I aware of the difference between a job and a career? I purposefully take on jobs that further my career goals. These questions will be able to really help us to understand the psyche of the people that we have currently on the call, and as people are keeping to join, for us to just really have this conversation and really enjoy it, yeah? So let's hear from you, my panelists. Are you in that spot? Sorry, my participants, are you in that spot where you actually can say without a shadow of a doubt that, hey, I really do know my wheats from the chaff, yeah? Well, quite interesting results I see there. Quite interesting results I see there. Now, you know, with this result, it really brings us to a good place to start to just appreciate. As much as I have answered these questions, how am I applying any of these things that I am answering? What am I saying? How is it coming down to the things that I am doing? In terms of my own purpose, my own satisfaction, what is it that I'm actually doing to make sure that these are not just answers I'm giving to a particular question? Because this is when now we are able to establish and distinguish those people that have, one, really put their efforts into developing a purposeful career, and those of us who might be wanting to have some really, really deep conversations after this particular conversation with self. I always say, when the conversation is really, really difficult, have a meeting with self, bring snacks. These things actually help you to be able to find purpose, to appreciate what it is that you want to do and how you're going to do it. Thank you very much, my audience, for answering these questions. And we have a very, very interesting pool here that says quite a number of my participants today are aware of the differences between a job and a career. And a good number are actually agree that they are purposefully taking on jobs that can actually further their career goals. That's very encouraging to hear, and then that will make this particular conversation then really flow from the different from my panelists here to just you know, bring into sharp focus what else it is that you should do, what it is that you probably should start doing to make sure that you are actually putting yourself out there in terms of your career and the jobs that you are able to do. Now, I just want to take a quick wrap on what it is that your job is, what it is that your career is. So the more you're thinking about it every single day, and the more you've answered this question and listened to what our panelists have said, you need to keep in mind that when you're doing an activity that is just purely for fulfilling your livelihood needs, and this one of I need to pay rent, I need to be able to feed my children, I need to get my medical bills sorted out, I need to sort out my family at home, etc. You're just putting it in the short term, concentrating 100% on what you learned in school, and the different soft skills here and there that you gain when you're in the job, and all you want to do is remain in that job so that you can remain consistent in feeding your families. You're probably doing your job, yeah? But then again, when you have a career, you notice that I like to do this. I am gifted in this particular area, and you start relentlessly pursuing that. And it is a long-term thing. It's not just something that comes today and then tomorrow you have changed your mind. It is a long-term thing, and you're taking yourself to be very specialized in a particular field. Just like Liz has said, she noticed this and she started to do this kind of research here and there. As much as at that point, it hadn't become really clear for her, why am I doing this kind of research? What is it that I'm expecting to gain? She actually was getting specialized in the area that she likes to practice in. And as again, just what Liz has said, you can tell all the innovation that was coming around this, the learning, and you're able to take risks here and there to be able to now focus on building your career. So I just want to walk down into our presentation and just wonder, what is it that we call career resilience? For me, I've found this particular issue to be most interesting, I must say. The reason I say this is most interesting, there is this very, very common notion that when you have, in Swahili we said, vumilia tu, keep your head down, be quiet and just do your thing. You're saying, I am very resilient. I know that's one part of resilience, but that's not exactly what we mean by career resilience. And I just want to talk to Pauline and wonder, what misconceptions have you heard about career resilience, and what is the best way to speak about, to define really career resilience for our audience?
So the misconception around career resilience is what you've intimated to. It's the thing of sticking to a job, irrespective of if you enjoy it or not, or sticking to a job for the sake of survival. And so a lot of people will sit on a role, even if it's for a long time, even if they're not growing, even if they don't enjoy even the workspace or even the purpose of what they are doing, and call that resilience. But actually resilience is where you're on purpose, where you're pursuing your career goals and objectives, and irrespective of the changes in the work environment, irrespective of the changes that are happening, like for example, what happened recently, the pandemic, that you're still able to adapt, and be able to change form, and still be able to re-engineer and come up with a new form for yourself. And a new adapted form for yourself in the market space. So I'll give you a good example. So for the longest time, like for me, I was in HR, 21 years, and I realized that with time, actually HR will soon be automated. Most of the roles in HR will be automated. And the fact that I'd also done it for 21 years, I knew that I needed to start growing myself into a new area, but a new area that's related to what I was doing. And that is why I moved into now coaching. Because I truly believe that, and for me, I saw it in the workspace. I realized that that was a big need in the workspace, where people required to be coached into their areas of talent and passion, because it's a fact that 87% of the people who work don't enjoy what they do. So for me, what I did is now I started changing my form in the market space, and moving now to more of executive coaching and career coaching. So it's your ability to be able to understand the times, that the times in your careers are also changing, acquiring the new skills that you require to change your form, and to change your form before the change happens. So the thing of anticipating, it's actually taking a very strategic view around your career so that you're able to change form before the change changes you. Yeah, and so that's developing career resilience, your ability to be able to change with the times, yeah, change before even the times change, yeah, be able to anticipate that change, yeah, and then be able to add new value, yeah, in your career, in the market space, yeah. And so that's why you can see now everyone is calling themselves a coach, yeah, and I have also my sentiments around that, yeah. Yeah. You don't yourself something that you're not, so you take time, gain the skills, gain the experiences, yeah, and then now you start changing form to a new space. So always understand where your career is, where your career space is moving to, what are the industry changes, and then your ability to anticipate those changes, gain those skills, and change before the change happens. Yeah.
Wow,
So that's
Pauline,
career resilience.
Pauline, that's a very deep thing that you have just said. And I want to wonder with Liz, is there a moment that just stands out to you where you notice, my gosh, this is a resilient career that I am building?
I think I've had those moments. And just to quickly just backtrack a little with the previous question that you asked, the kind of jobs that I took a lot of non-legal jobs because when I realized I needed to know celebrities, then I applied for jobs that gave me access. So I worked for a campus magazine, and that also now brought me out as a writer. And then now in that job, I made sure I knocked the True Love door, the True Love magazine. And because they had access to celebrities, I basically went there and I said, you know what, I can help. I would love to write. So I would now have access to these celebrities directly, and I would meet them, interview them, and whatnot. And I met them randomly. I used to DM them on Facebook. I'm like, hi, how are you? I'm Liz, I write for True Love. I'm doing this collab. I'd love to feature you. I think you have an interesting story, sort of thing. So, and you see, at that time, of course, some of my friends and people around me didn't understand what I was trying to do. And every time I would say, I want to be an entertainment lawyer, guys, some of them would laugh. And some of them would say, gosh, Liz, you want to be broke? Is that what you're saying? Because lawyers are rich people. Lawyers drive Benzes. So I think the more naysayers I had now, the more I had to figure things out for me. And when I realized I was in a resilient career, or in pursuit for resilience, was now when we finished law school, we finished KSL, and I'm like, okay, what am I doing now? And at this point now, my job at True Love had now ceased because the South African investors had pulled out of the Kenyan market. So at this point, I was like, oh my gosh, now what next for me? And at that time, the blog sphere had just opened up to me. It had been there for maybe like a year, but now it had been brought to my attention, and I was like, okay, so what else can I do now? I know I can write, and I know the law. Now what next? So now I started blogging. And of course, some lawyers would come and tell me, but Liz, why are you telling the public? That's what lawyers do. So I was like, but you see, if my client doesn't know they are sick, if they don't know they are sick, then they can't come to me. So I was like, for me, that's what I will do. And every time I would share something, and I'd even get DM, and they're like, Liz, I think you told them too much.
Keep the professional secrets.
and then, I think I like maybe 3 years into my blog is when now the Bake Awards came up, the Bloggers Awards. And my blog was shortlisted for best tropical blog, and I was like, oh my gosh, people are reading. And all this time I used to just I realized I was competing with so many other entertainment platforms. I was competing with fashion bloggers. I was competing maybe to an extent with now guys in the financial sector. At least there they had an audience. So mine was in between, and I'm in the legal space, and people don't appreciate the law as much, and they think this is just this boring stuff. If I'm not in trouble, I don't need the law kind of situation. So I think at that point I was like, oh my gosh, I am doing something, I'm making a difference. And that now for me even gave me more courage and more pride. So it meant now I was like, okay, if people are reading, then that means I have to start being more purposeful in walking ahead of legal challenges, or, you know, with the people I'm trying to relate to and trying to get this information to. So it meant that now, you know, there were, of course, ups and downs, because, again, people have never heard of an entertainment lawyer at that time. So even sometimes you meet an entertainer and they just tell you, I don't have that money. But, you know, you're looking at the guy and he's well dressed. You can tell he's wearing expensive clothes. And I'm like, why are they not looking for my services, kind of thing? So I had to become even now more creative. So with the blog and now, you know, talks, I've organized, you know, 3 events, and I find partnerships. I talked to Strathmore Law School and they give me a venue, and I had an event. And then, of course, now, you know, making sure that the event standards are upheld, like, because, you know, sometimes when you're with partners also, you have to respect their brand and the things that they stand for. And you see, I'm in a very expressive industry, you know, so even just being able to tell people, please, when you're coming to this event, I know you're an entertainer, please dress nicely, because the venue, the sponsors have certain, you know, have a certain brand to protect, you know. So having also brands like Strathmore stand behind me also showed that they believed in what I was trying to do. They believed in innovative lawyering and thinking outside the box. So at that point now, I continued now to push, and, you know, volunteering for me, I think, was the biggest thing. So, you know, there are moments when you're like, okay, I understand there's this gap that is there, but how do I address this gap? So again, sometimes you want to be spearheaded by the need to make a change more than profits. You know, when you put money and profits ahead, sometimes it will get it will interfere with your purpose, right? Now it's about that job. You need to just make ends meet. And for me, you know, I realized risk taking had to be a thing. Of course, there are some I walked away from. I wish I didn't, because I was afraid. I was afraid of being judged. I was also afraid of how the legal profession would again also perceive me. So it was quite an interesting touch and go some moments. And at one point I also had, I got a job. I thought it was my dream job. I got my dream job. And 2 months in, I realized it wasn't my job, and I quit. And I went home and I was like, oh my gosh, I just quit. I quit a job in 2 months. But of course, again, having, you know, being in that job, when I realized it wasn't going the way I thought it would, I took some lessons and I went back to the boss and I pitched and I said, you know what, how about hiring me as a consultant? Because I have realized these are the following weaknesses we have. This is what I can help. I can package the law in a way that your audience understands, because that is where the problem is. So at least when I got out of that 24-hour job, or, you know, day job, they gave me a consultancy contract now, where I would creatively package the law for entertainment professionals, or you know, people in the entertainment sector. So again, that showed that for me, that I just needed to you know, be more of a risk taker than anything, to be resilient and to always have a purpose. So of course I had to close my eyes again when I see my friends driving Mercedes Benzes and things. People are like, so what watch is that you're wearing? And you have a Casio.
Well, I like, Liz, what you have just said. You know, creating a resilient career means that you'll actually put in some work, and there are some areas where you will actually have to sacrifice a lot, and you would learn how to really cope with diversity to make sure that you're building assets for the future. As you can see what Liz was saying, you know, I was starting this blog, I thought I was talking to myself, but 1 minute it occurs, oh my gosh, I'm not talking to myself. Looking and limiting for you the risks, that the risk factors that can be able to, you know, detract you from your career. And you can hear very clearly when it is being said, I looked at this job and I saw, actually, there is a different way that I can be able to do it, to make sure that I remain on track with what it is that I want to do. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, if you came into this conversation thinking that, you know, let me keep my head down and nivumilie, this is going to be amazing, think again. It's likely that you're just in a bad job. And here at Conversations with Wendy, I actually want to just applaud you, Liz. And also Pauline once told me this: if you're sitting in a toxic environment, why are you insisting to stay there for too long? that toxicity is going to start rubbing it off on you. So when you get to a place like that, you'll notice that you yourself can end up being very toxic. So you need to be able to cut ties with such kind of situations as quick as you can. Now that we have a good understanding of what is meant by career resilience, I just want to take a second to go right back into how we develop career resilience. And as you can hear from Liz, there's very many things that she has been able to do to be able to cope. And when she says, what is that watch you're wearing? And yours is a Casio. I remember once Casios used to be such fancy watches and you would buy them. I think it was about 200, which was quite an amount of money. But right now, that's not the value of a Mercedes. Yeah. So what is it that you were able to do to be able to make sure that your career is very, very resilient and you're intentionally developing it? And I just wanted to see if Pauline can give us this, just this snapshot. What is it that is meant by developing a career, a resilient career? What is it that you're supposed to be doing to make sure that your career remains resilient? Pauline, you're on mute.
So in simple layman language, how I define career resilience is how do you remain relevant irrespective of the seasons, irrespective of the changes that happen in your career. So it's actually maintaining relevance. So the thing, as I had spoken earlier about, was you need to have a clear understanding as to why you're doing what you're doing. So first, understanding self and understanding your key strength areas and your areas of passion is critical in this whole journey. So actually, that's where it starts. You need to understand where your key strengths lie. You need to understand where your key interests are, because that's the thing that will keep you going in this whole journey. Once you've understood where your strengths lie, for me, I always say the people you see who are successful are people who've understood where their strengths lie. People work with their strengths. You don't work with your weaknesses and you don't try and improve on your weaknesses. The thing is, leverage on your strengths. So do you understand where your area of gifting, or I also call it, do you understand where your genius is? Once you've understood where your genius is, focus on that area. And the focus here is now where I tell people, especially when I teach them in class, is this is where the work is. So have you mastered the thing that you say that you're good at? You cannot call yourself a professional or an expert in a thing if you have not spent time in developing yourself in that area. So this is where I tell people, you go, the easiest way, buy the skill, go to class. People want to take shortcuts, but you have to go to class. There's a real value of understanding the why behind what you do. You can go to learn the skill in a job, somebody else can teach you, but the thing is you don't understand the why. So going to school to get the knowledge is very important. So get the knowledge so that you understand why you do what you do. So go back to school, get the skill sets for it, then get the experience. If you need, initially, if it's hard, like what Liz did, volunteer your services for free. Give out your services for free. Because that's how you're still building capacity. You're building experiences. So become good. And I use the principle of the 10,000 hours. It's a point where you have to put in the time. You need to put in the time so that now you have built that strength, built the muscle to say that, yes, I'm an expert in this area. The other key thing of building career resilience is also build a network in the area that you're building that competence in. So are you known in the field? Are you known in the profession that you're building yourself as an expert in? So are you building a network around, a good network around the area of your specialization? Are you known? If people mention entertainment lawyers, does your name come up at least the top 3? If it's not top 3 or top 10, then it means there's work for you to do. So the thing is, you have to network in the right circles. And for most professions, there's actually professional bodies. So join those bodies, understand the requirements, get your credentialing. If you need to get your right paper, paperwork. You can't call yourself an expert if you have not qualified yourself according to the professional standards. Yeah, network in the right circles, be known in that area, and you will find once you have developed that network. Now, the other key thing I always say is you have to build your brand. And you see, once you're doing all those things, what you're doing is you are actually building your brand. Yeah, so do people know you? Are you known for the thing that you're saying that you're good at? Yeah, if I was to Google you, would you come up as a key authority in that area? Yeah, and once you've done that, you've built the networks, you've built your competence. You have surrounded yourself with the right people. Yeah, so that when people are looking for who's the expert in this area, your name is still amongst the top names that are named in that area. So you've built a brand, irrespective of what happens in your career. Even if there is retrenchment, you will still be relevant. Yeah, because the thing is, you have the skill sets. You can be able to change form. The key thing is changing form, ability to change form. You have the skill sets, you have the networks. Opportunities will come. You get to hear the opportunities when they come up. Yeah, yeah. So career resilience is around your ability to package yourself, your ability to build your brand, and then the ability to also look at the environment and see where the change is happening, and how do you position yourself when those changes are happening, and then also being a solution provider. When you look at challenges in the market space, are you coming up with solutions to meet those challenges? Yeah, so are you an innovator? Are you a creative? Yeah, so what solutions have you brought into the market space? And the thing is, you can't be called an authority if you've not developed things. An authority does, you have to put in the work and come up with solutions, come up with solutions for the market space, solve problems, solve real problems. And then I think for that, once you've gotten to that point, for me, I call it, that's when you actually get to mastery. Now you've become a master in the thing that you claim to be an authority in. And at that point, you have built your resilience. You can be able to be relevant irrespective of the environment that you're operating in.
Well, that's actually very, very deep. And I really hope we've all been taking a very keen listen to what Pauline has just said. These are very commonplace things, but if you are not very purposeful about it, you can actually miss out on really, really great areas where you can develop resilience. And Liz, I'm just wondering, in this pandemic currently as it stands, is there something that you would want to tell our listeners today that will help them to remain focused in their careers, as especially if they have been practicing and intentionally building a resilience around their career? What is the one thing you would want to tell them right now?
I think I'd tell them to not be fearful of inventing around that space, and being able to also stick your guns, right? Like, you're able to convey to the client that it actually works. I will prove it. So which means, again, you're flexible in terms of maybe there'll be some mild concessions you make so that the client can believe in your product. You just need 1 or 2 people converted, and that's it. Everyone else, will sort of tashika form, so to speak. So, I mean, like, for my situation, I think for me already, once I started, embracing technology, I always knew that I would want to run my farm online. That at the end of the day, this video camera here that we're using right now would suffice for a client to say, "Hi, it's a pleasure to meet you, Liz. This is my problem." So for me now, COVID sort of just quickly put that thing, that practice into motion. And already I had a plan on how I would roll out. So it was very easy for me to be able to do it. And I just made sure I had the infrastructure and the whatnot. So right now, even when I still get new clients and I say, you know what, this actually works, when you still see me, I give them all these reasons why they imagine they need to see me physically. And I say, you know what, I also have, I'm governed by a body. If you think I'm going to run away with your money, please, here is LSK. I'm just transparent. So that then they also understand that at the end of the day, just an e-meeting is enough. So I would say keep inventing and stick to your guns at the end of the day. Don't be quick to be swayed by clients' thoughts and what should I say, doubts, just because they have not tried and tested it. You just have to stick your gun. And if this one it does not want to be converted, fine, you will find another one. But you have to stick your guns. Otherwise, how do you become resilient? How do you stand out? How do you become sustainable? If today you're told go left and you go left, tomorrow you're told go right, you go right. Hauna msimamo, you need to stand firm and decide what it is that you want, and then now move towards it, because it's never easy at the end of the day. So just because Liz seems to be doing it easy, you don't know what Liz's challenges are. Maybe Liz's clients are different from yours again. So, you might maybe want to talk to Liz, but be honest also with your challenges, and then exchange, and then you're able to sort of forge a way forward. I think the other thing is that we're not talking to each other enough as well. We're not learning from each other. So I think we're in that era where we need to start sharing information with each other. We need to be generous. We're not generous because we're also stuck in that space where it's all about me. But you see, if I am succeeding and my neighbor is not succeeding, then there's nothing we are doing. Yeah. So I need to lift my neighbor so that we walk this journey together. I can't sit around and then just say, I'm not going to help Muri. No. Atajipanga. No, that's not the approach we need to take as well. We need to build each other up. We need to have sharing platforms. So either with your co-workers or with a fellow entrepreneur in the same space, just be honest with each other. And again, if you're doing something I don't like, or I heard that you're backbiting me or whatever it is, or you're trying to drag my business down, face it head on. Don't start smear campaigning each other or on Facebook and YouTube and whatever it is. I think I face you and I just say, hey, Wendy, by the way, I heard you said so and so. Why are you saying this? And even if you feel shame on me, you'll apologize and we move on. So again, keeping grudges is something that really sort of interferes with how we do business generally. So I think for me, and those are things I have learned and things I cultivated over time. And I also learned what are my weaknesses and how to balance everything. Because the thing I've realized also with my entrepreneurship journey is that I'm not just me, I'm not just my career, but I'm also me as I'm growing in other facets of my world. I am a young mom, I am a wife, I'm a teacher, and here I am also, I am running a farm. So how do I build myself in a wholesome way and build the people around me? So I realized for me that was a recipe for success. If I grow alone, then it's going to be a lonely journey, and it's not going to make sense, because again, if my neighbor is hungry, they'll steal from me.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
maybe help my neighbor so that I can keep my TV and he can buy his TV.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's some really lovely jumps that are actually being thrown here today. This is Conversations with Wendy, in case you have just joined in. And we've been speaking with Liz and Pauline to just appreciate what it is that you can do to make yours a very resilient career. And we have walked the journey from the definitions into the meat of this conversation. And I just want to understand. When you're speaking, I can hear you speak about assets. There are some things that you're actually building and working with them, and this is what we call career capital. Very many scholars have put a lot of work into what career capital is, but the best summary that I have got, and we will dive right into it, is: do you know your whys? Do you know your whom? And do you know your how? Because this is how Pauline has been speaking to us consistently. And career capital is a thing that actually helps you to know that what it is you're doing is making impact somewhere. It is making the social impact that you're looking for. It's making the financial impact that you hope to achieve in your life and as you're growing. It is very important for you to have capital backing you in this journey that you're walking in terms of your career. And I just want to appreciate, now that we have understood very clearly that this is career capital, you know your who's, you know your whys, you know your hows. What is it that you can be able to do, especially in your career, to make sure that you're developing something, not just that is resilient, you're having capital behind it, and you know the notion of capital, where it comes from. It's the things that help you to run the things that you want to run. And I just want to go to Pauline and say, for you, what areas of career capital do you actually say is the most valuable to have? Do you need to do everything? Do you need to focus on one, or do you need to progressively focus on one as you're going towards the other?
For me, I would say it's actually a process. So it's not one thing that you would focus on. Yeah. So all of them, what you have put up there, are important. Yeah, but it's, I think, a progression. It starts, so I use a different model, but it's kind of similar. Yeah, but everything starts from you understanding you, yeah, and understanding those your key talents. Yeah, because if there's a disconnect between what you're doing and the things that you're passionate about, yeah, you will definitely not enjoy what you're doing. Yeah, so so I think we need to first, either if we have not spent time to understand where our key strength areas are, that's where we need to put in investments in and self-discovery. Yeah, so that's where it starts from. Yeah, then once you have discovered that your key strength area, then that's where now we move to how do we develop that talent. So it's about talent development. Yeah, and that's where now I can see you've put in continuous learning. So you put in that time to develop that key skill area. So you see, like for Liz, her interest was entertainment, fashion, and all. Yeah, yet she was a lawyer. So the thing is, now she put in time, yeah, for continuous learning to see, understand how the industry works. Yeah, and then also get the right networks. So the thing is, once you've discovered the talent, develop the talent. Yeah, and developing the talent is either you go back to school or you get the right experiences that will help you now build those talents. Yeah, and now this is where for you to get to mastery. Yeah, because for you to be able to earn the amounts that you want, you have to get to mastery. You have to differentiate yourself in the market space. Yeah, so that mastery level has to be attained. Yeah, and so that's how you get it, through either knowledge, through the experiences, and through the networks that you have. Yeah, and then once you have gone into that level where you've now gained mastery, and that's when you've put in your 10,000 hours, yeah, in the thing that you love. Then now once you have gotten to that point is when now you start looking at the networks. Yeah, because you're already looking for the experiences, you start building the networks around the thing that you're passionate about. Then you build your brand. Yeah, as you're doing that, you're also building your personal brand. Yeah, that will come out, that will build you as an authority in the area that you feel that you want to be known for. And for me, I truly believe once you've done all those things, believe it or not, but the money comes. So you pursue first your purpose and your passion, and then the money follows. Yeah, so don't start with the thing of I'm looking for this amount of money to earn. So the thing is, perfect your craft. Build onto your craft first. Yeah, build onto the network, build onto your personal brand. Yeah, understand the market and the career that you are in and the market you're playing in. Once you've done all that, and there's a lot of even volunteering and a lot of free work that you will give out, because you have to perfect your skill first. Once you get to that point, trust me, everybody will notice. You'll have built your brand, and that's when now the money comes in. Because career capital is that economic value that comes once you've built your career. Yeah, then you can name your brand. You can name your value. At that point, you can be able to dictate the value, the amount of money that you want to earn. Yeah, so for me, I look at it from that aspect of starting from self, and then you grow it out to the point where you build yourself as an authority in the field that you want to play at. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, Pauline. One statement that you just said that I want to let people let it sink in, you know, it's the economic value. That's what career capital is. It's the economic value of what it is that you're able to do, but it just doesn't come randomly. That's the thing that I really like. As you can hear, Liz has been saying consistently, Pauline has been saying consistently, know what it is that you're doing. Do not go out there and actually say, I'm an expert in XYZ. If you have not developed the skills, if you have not put in your 10,000 hours, it actually is going to do you more harm than good. You know, there is nothing half as bad as saying, this is Wendy, I'm a professional in XYZ. And when you go, you check my background, you check what it is that I'm doing, look at the quality of work that I'm putting out there, and you start asking yourself questions. You're like, is this girl really what she says she is? Can she be able to really do what it is that she's saying she's doing? You're actually not just breaking your brand, you're also not investing properly in the capital that you can have within your career. Then you cannot get the economic value that you're having. Then you will have an even more uphill task going back to start reestablishing yourself in that particular space that you want to play in. And I see Liz has been saying this consistently, network, network, network. As she has spoken also, you've seen her say, okay, I've had exposure in fashion, I've had exposure in entertainment, I've had exposure in law, I've had exposure in writing. One of the things that you also notice is that the exposure is multidisciplinary, it's multi-industry, so that you're able to have a very clear view globally of what it is that is happening in your space. And I just want to go again to Liz and say, if you want to maintain the focus on building your career capital, yeah, what are some of the things that you would advise our listeners here today to maintain as a habit? You're focusing on bringing that economic value to your career. What are the habits that you really need to maintain to ensure that your career capital remains quite premium?
I think it's only one thing: consistency. Consistency is it. Like, I don't think there's anything else. It's consistency and then honesty. Because now the other thing is you always have to be honest with yourself and the people you work with, so that you don't fear to say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. How can I make it up to you? By the way, I realize that is the best way to even maintain clients, because they will not get mad at you and go forever. They will come back, you know, because you owned up to your mistake and you are honest. And when you don't know, you also are able to tell your client, yeah, but I don't know this one, I play tag team with so and so. They respect you, because you know, even with the lawyers I talk to, with the mentorship forums I talk at, I usually tell them that the pie is so huge that we cannot try and eat it by ourselves. If your strength is conveyancing, please let it be so that, you know, I give you clients who need conveyancing services. Give me clients who need entertainment law and IP services. We win. We all win, right? So for me, I have always taken that approach, because again, how do people see I'm consistent if I am trying to be a Jill of all trades? Right. So that's how you stand out, as you know, in a way that people can see you're consistent. So which means, again, it's about teamwork. Teamwork becomes really important, again, because the teamwork, it's cliche, but teamwork makes the dream work. You know, so like personally, I have a team of lawyers who will handle my clients' other issues outside of IP and entertainment. I wouldn't sit down and start saying, oh my gosh, you're going to a divorce, I'm so sorry, let me help you. No. Like my friend, divorce, I have a guy.
Yeah.
Not me, but I have a guy. I can assure you. What I'll assure you is discretion. What I'll assure you is what? And then when I talk to my partner, I tell them, okay, so this is my client. This is how they want their matter handled. Please don't feel bad when I interfere once in a while. It's because my client wants to ensure that their matter is taken care of. And because they are my client as well, with due respect, let's find a way to work together. I'm not going to interfere with your work as a professional, but I will constantly check in and whatnot. And please have an open door policy with me and share what challenges you're having with my client, because I've been talking to them more. I know maybe the language, how they want to be spoken to. Mali unashindwa, I can help you. And then with that conversation as well, as we are playing tag team, I know, of course, there's the issue of money. You already have that conversation from the beginning. Don't leave things to assumptions so that then tomorrow you fight. No. You already have created that relationship beforehand, and you're saying, you know what, I may not know where my practice is going, but if I don't want to do this kind of briefs, if I bring them to you, can we discuss a profit sharing arrangement? Yeah, that is legal, that is legit. You know, like for us lawyers, you have to be an advocate and a licensed advocate to share in profits, right? So as long as I know I have protected you, you've protected me, we are good. We are doing everything in a legitimate way. So again, even just knowing the rules and the laws around your profession or your career is also important. If you're going to start undercutting or doing all this manner of things, you're not going to prevail. So even making your clients understand, by the way, this is a professional service. This is how we normally work. Let's find ways for you to respect me, and I give you everything that you want. Respect my career, I respect, and I'm able to deliver in a way that you will not question my ability, because we are on the same page kind of situation. I think that's what I would tell.
Yes, consistency, and do not be that Jill of all trades. I know, Pauline, you have quite a lot to say about that. could we just hear about that? I remember recently, I've seen something that really interested me when I made a proposal to somebody to do a particular thing, and they asked me, Wendy, why is it that when we invite you for XYZ, you're always saying, oh yeah, I love the opportunity, but I actually know a person that can do this better for you. And they were wondering, are you not taking away the business from yourself? And as Liz is saying, the pie is so huge, we can't eat it in our own spaces, we can share. And she's insisting, you need to be consistent, don't be that person who is known for everything. You're doing everything everywhere, spread yourself so thin that you actually don't have that time. You're not putting in that extra effort to just specialize in that one thing that you're gifted at. I know, Pauline, you have quite a lot to say about that, so let's hear around that.
Yeah, it's one of the key things I'm very passionate about. Yeah, because for you to become an authority in one thing, you have to focus on one thing. Yeah, so the thing is, I know, and especially in business, especially when you get out into entrepreneurship, people want to grab whatever comes their way. Yeah, and I've told people, actually send people away and I tell them, you know what, I have somebody who can do that for you. I give referrals also. But the reason being is, if you spread yourself too thin and you're doing everything, like for me, I'm in HR. Yeah, HR is quite wide. Yeah, so there's the HR consulting, organizational development, there's training aspect. You can do customer service, you can do people development. Yeah, you can do coaching. It's wide. So the thing is, if you decide you want to do everything, yeah, one of the key things is that you will not get deeper in becoming better in the thing that you want to be good at. Yeah, so that's why I said, remember the cycle that I mentioned about developing career capital is you have to find that the one thing you want to be known for. Yeah, the thing that when it is mentioned, your name comes up, that reputation thing. Yeah, what are you known for in the market space? Yeah, so you can't be known for 5 different things. You're confusing the market. Yeah, so you need to pick at least 2 or 3 maximum. For me, I always say have 3 passions, 3 key passions. Yeah, you can't just have one. Have 3 key passions, but focus on one key thing. So like for me, I'm passionate about leadership. I'm passionate about women development. Yeah, I'm passionate about careers. But I believe, and I remember when I was starting my practice, I said, I want to be known as the lead in career coach in Kenya. Yeah, so you start out with one goal and you focus and you do everything around it. And I can tell you the world will conspire and will come and business will come along those lines. But the thing is, today you can't see Pauline doing customer service. The next day you'll see her doing something totally off just because I'm looking for the buck. Yeah, just because I'm looking for money. The thing is, focus on the things you're passionate about. You're allowed up to 3. Yeah, but the thing is, and even that's how you will build your brand along those same lines. But the thing is, let us see the correlation. So like for me with women and how I develop women, it's still around careers. So you can see the career is still the key theme. I'm passionate about the youth, in them getting to discover their purpose from an early age. But how do I do it? Still around careers. So the career is the main thematic line. Yeah, I do one-on-one executive coaching with professionals. Yeah, and reason being is because I believe that people have the potential there are people sitting on industries who are sitting on jobs. I want to unlock that. But how do I do that? Through career. So the thing is, get that theme, get your thematic theme.
Yeah. Pauline, that's actually very, very interesting. And that leads me to a question that we have here from Perpetua Machua, who says, during the early years of career development, how can one get to make bold decisions and leave toxic jobs when you are yet to build your career muscle?
Yes, so it depends on how toxic the environment is. Yeah. But there's sometimes, I'll give you an example. There's a time I had a very bad boss, and I sat through that job for 3 years. Reason being, I knew where I was going, why that job was important in the journey. You understand? So if you know your end goal, sometimes that toxic environment will teach you certain things. So that toxic environment, actually what it did for me is it taught me how not to be a bad HR person. Yeah, because it was actually my HR director was so nasty. Yeah, and it was really, really bad. So they taught me the extreme opposite. But what it taught me was how to still manage in a tough environment. So there are sometimes, it doesn't mean that you need to jump out every time there's adversity in the workspace. Yeah, you need to also learn coping skills. Yeah, and for me at that point, it was important to have that experience because it was going to be necessary to propel me to the next level. So if you keep jumping because you have found a bad boss along the way or a toxic environment sometimes, who says you're not the one who should change that environment? Maybe that was your purpose to be in that environment. How do you influence and ensure that you can change that environment? So not all bad experiences are meant for you to just jump ship. Yeah, so that's the one way of looking at it. Yeah, so it can build you. But the other second thing is if you actually know that actually you have done your time and you have actually added value in this organization, you can talk about tangible value and key projects that you've been able to deliver and that will aid into your career, then it is time for you to move. But don't jump out of organizations and opportunities because of just one person who's a bad apple in the team. I remember at that point when I was going through that 3 years of a bad boss, I remember my mom telling me, guess what? You're all hired in that organization. You're all hired. So the thing is, one person shouldn't make you leave. You leave at your time. You leave when you're ready. But you'll only stay there when you have that end goal. You know why you're there. For every job, know why you're there. It's not, you're not just working for the sake of working.
Exactly. It goes back to what we were speaking about, career capital. You have to know your why, your whom, and your how. When those things are not clear to you, you're just moving. Just like Liz has said, today they take you to A, you go towards A. They take you to B, you go, and then 1 second you've been pulled in so many directions that you have no idea what it is that you're supposed to do. There's this author who wrote this lovely book, and he said, you are what you are willing to struggle for. That's a very, very, very deep statement from the author, Mark Manson, and he says very clearly, you are what you're willing to struggle for. So the thing that would be the guiding principle for you consistently is to remember your who, your how, and your why. You know, when those things are very clear for you, some of these questions have very direct answers. You know that I'm here, I haven't done what it is that I want to do, and I know that I am headed toward a particular why. It becomes very easy to know even the how to do the things that you're doing. And there's a very lovely question here from Damaris Kagwira. And Liz, this one, I would just want to throw it at you. First, when you began, you will notice that you are the person writing blogs somewhere, and you're wondering, am I talking to myself? Are people actually reading what it is that I'm reading? Then Liz came into the limelight, and Liz now is a formidable name. You've become what we want to do by the big fish in the market, right? So Damaris is asking, how do you deal with setbacks, especially when you're building your own brand, trying to compete with the big fish in the market?
I think for me, what I've done is I analyze the setbacks. What is the nature of this setback? How has it impacted me, and how do I work around it or get ahead of it? I've been in a situation where I'm also competing with big fish, right? And I have the necessary, I have all the qualifications. I'll give an example. A few years back, I had, should I say, tendered or pitched for a certain job in IP services, and I had gotten it. And then 2 days to signing the contract, the story changed because the two bosses know each other. They played golf, and I was officially history. I could have quit. I could have just said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And the good thing is that I got this information because I have meaningful relationships. That the person who had also been helping me and assisted to open that door was also honest. And they even said, listen, I'm so sorry. I wish I could have done better. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. It's not in your control, but I have learned. So at that point, even I started saying, do I start playing golf? You know, but I'm like, it is what it is. It doesn't mean that tomorrow I don't compete again. I just rise and keep doing what I'm doing. I will get those businesses. And at the end of the day, I can successfully say I am a worthy opponent. Big law. right? It's now about again. Sometimes it's about analyzing also those other opportunities again, because like what I realized with practicing law is that there was the old money and there was the new money. Yeah. So for me, I was like, okay, I might not be able to compete with the old money, and it's okay. Focus on the new money. So that's why for me, I am even very deliberate with my practice. I focus on the young artists, the existing artists, the innovators of our time. I am not trying to go after the kind of people I don't have access to, because it might even be very hard for me to sell myself. So I'll expend a lot of money and resources trying to please someone who already knows who they want to work with. I would rather package myself and expend my resources on a clientele that would be easy to have access to and convince and work with, and even show them what progress looks like, what success looks like, versus trying to swim with a big fish. And yes, you are capable, but there's a system. Yeah. So I think that's the other thing that I realized as a young entrepreneur, is that there are certain things like there's a tree I may not be able to shake. So why am I going to spend so much energy and strength to shake a mugumo tree? And there's like another tree over here that I'll just water So I mean, I'm not saying don't go after the big fish try, but make that a lesson to learn, analyze. Why did this setback occur? What was the nature of this setback? What is it telling me? How do I reshape my approach? How do I learn? And that's what I would say.
That's a brilliant answer, Liz, because it just goes back even to these slides that we've been sharing. And you notice she started from career capsule and making sure that you're actually building it consistently. She's gone back into your know-how, make sure that you know your house very well, make sure that you know your whom's within that area, and you know your why. That's why you would realize that she says very clearly she will not be shaking that mugumo tree, If there is a tree here that you can water and shake it, then go for that direction. You're looking at the future and seeing how this setback led you to this particular area where you're able to essentially put in what it is that you can put in so that you can get out of it what it is that you're looking to get out. And as we are speaking, I see there's good questions that are coming in our question and answer session, chat box. So please put your questions there, put your chats there. This is Conversations with Wendy if you're just joining, but I also just want to let you know that we have 15 minutes on the clock. So we are just here to summarize. And I want to go directly to Pauline and ask, what is the value? What exactly is the value in infusing purpose in your career? What is the value of that? Pauline, you're on mute again?
That's why I don't mute, so that I don't have to remember to unmute. So you remember when I was describing that cycle, the thing that will keep you on this journey of building your career is the reason why. Your purpose is actually the why. Why are you doing what you're doing? So if you don't understand your why, you won't be able to stay for the long haul. You won't be able to stay for the long haul when there are ups and downs, especially when there are downs. Many people quit, but the reason why you stick at it is because you know your why, and understanding your why is the biggest. They say is the biggest find as a human being. That's the most important investment that every human being needs to invest in, to find your why. Why do you exist? And the beauty about the whole thing about being a human being and God is that He created each one of us with a purpose. The reason why we are each gifted differently is because each gifting is meant to fulfill a certain purpose. So you can imagine if we were all cut and paste, it would be such a boring world, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's the reason why we're all gifted differently. Who would have thought that you can combine entertainment and law? Beautiful.
Very.
So HR, my background with coaching and unlocking people's potentials. Look at you, law and HR. And unlocking people into their passions. So God has gifted us differently. So the key thing is to see, and actually He orders our steps. I'm a Christian, guys, And I'm unashamedly a Christian, and I'll explain to you why. Because God is a very intentional God. So even the experiences you've gone through, they are very intentional. So if you actually connect the dots, you'll be able to understand your purpose. So the purpose is the fuel that will actually keep you on course. That's the thing that will keep you on course, on the thing that you are created to do. And that's how now you are able to focus. That's how you're able to develop and grow in the thing that you're passionate about once you discover your purpose. Yeah, and that's where now even creativity and innovation will grow from, because you understand the why you're doing it. So I'll give you an example with my own journey. So I actually took education as my first degree, and I never practiced education because I got into HR, did a postgraduate in HR, and I did my master's in HR, and spent many years managing people's careers in the workspace. But because, as how I've explained to you, God is an intentional God. Yeah, that education degree, I always used to wonder, why did I go to university to do education? But now, after spending time and discovering that even in the workspace, people are actually not engaged in what they do. So I went on to a journey to discover, how do I align people to their areas of passion? So I took on now another path of developing my coaching career. Yeah, and I did a couple of postgraduate diplomas in coaching. I got my certifications in coaching. Yeah, but guess what? The thing that was most important for me to actually develop the curriculum that now we are using in schools to help young people discover their passion is my education degree that I never used. So you see how God works? He actually aligns our journeys. Yeah, so the journey and the experiences you've already gone through, they are all aligned towards your purpose. So the key thing is understand that thing called purpose, why you're here on earth. Yeah, and once you are able to do that, everything will connect. And once you are able to connect now to your purpose, I can tell you, imagine, that's where now your passion, that's where creativity, that's where innovation comes from. That's where new ideas will come from. And that's why, that's where productivity, because I believe that talent you are given, that thing that you're good at, your genius, was not for your, it's not for your own personal benefit. I know a lot of people have used it to gain wealth for their own good. Unfortunate. That passion, that purpose that you've been given is for replication. You're meant to influence and impact the world. That purpose, once you have a purposeful career, it's about the lives that you will impact. It's about the lives that you change. Yeah, and I can say for me, I have been able to mentor many. I've been able to coach many. And right now for me, I'm looking at it of how are we going to now spread from Kenya to Africa, to the world. Yeah, it's about now replicating yourself across. Yeah, so that when you leave, you're able to leave a legacy. So that's the importance of having a purposeful career. It's not about you. It stops being about you. It stops being about acquiring wealth. It's about now what impact. And I believe once you get to the impacting bit, the money comes. The money follows. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I really like to underscore the importance of what Pauline has said, that when you're finding your purpose, you're able to know it, appreciate it, and replicate it. And this is something that happens in very many places where people worry and they're wondering, okay, so what should I do? Where should I do this thing that I want to do? I have studied XYZ. Should I stick to it? Should I change my mind? I mean, what exactly should I do? And I'm seeing here, one of our attendees has asked, hi, I changed my career from tourism management to education. I went back to high school and attained a mean grade of B-. Should I include my diploma in tourism management in my CV? And I like just how through the speaking of Pauline, you have been able to hear her say very clearly, this is where I started from. This is what I further did. And this is how it just went all back boomerang. It's not everybody that it goes that way, but there is quite a number of people where this happens for them. So for me, the one thing that I just like to further underscore from even Pauline's response is do not be afraid to put the accolades that you have out there, to be saying, yes, I have actually done XYZ. I might not be using it now, but this is a skill that I have. This is something that I have gained, and I may use it in future, but always underscore the things that you have already done. I want to go to Liz and just ask you very clearly, what advice then would you give to that one person that is transitioning into a new career? Especially when you've been doing other things and now you're transitioning into a new career. You've picked other jobs and now you're going into a new career.
I'd say invest in yourself, learn, be honest when you do not understand, because that's how you best learn from actually sharing your weaknesses or your lack of knowledge. That is how you learn best. If you're going to pretend that you understand, that you know, then you're setting yourself up. It means you'll be there for a very short period. So I think honesty and investing in that knowledge is always important. I've been in a situation where, you know, my first writing job was actually online writing, which meant I had to know how to publish online. So it meant learning a lot of tech stuff. So I said, you know what, I may not know, but I will learn. So during my learning process, I made sure I was learning and that I was friends with my colleagues and they were there to stand with me. Nikishindwa, there was someone who was helpful and they would say, oh, I would say, you know what, I'm trying to upload this picture for this piece. It's not working. I've done everything you have trained me, but it's not, please help me, you know? So I think that would be the thing. It's about learning, don't be a know-it-all. You know, I think even Pauline has said this numerous times. It's about investing in yourself. The good thing now with technology as well is that you have access to courses, even maybe for free. There's Coursera. There is all these other platforms where all you just need to do is go on your Google panel and just search whatever it is that you need to learn, whatever skill that it is. Some courses are free. Some of them you pay $30, $40. If it's a certificate you want, less than 10K Kenya shillings, you have your certificate. You're able to build competency. So I think the other thing is just understanding also the opportunities that technology presents themselves, it opens. It's not just about social media, to Facebook, Instagram, and you know, being a teacher, I have seen that many of my students get lost in that. They might, in their minds, my laptop and the internet is just for Facebook or Instagram. And I'm like, my friend, there's so many opportunities. And I think I'd even say for anyone who's here, who's at least below 30, your ability to even change is much easier, and the opportunities that are there are so much more, because again, that whole conversation around youth, and there are so many international organizations that always have opportunities. I would say if that is where you are, you never know, just do those applications. If you're transitioning, it's much easier. There will be such opportunities. Some of them come in the form of competitions. Just learn, read about the terms and conditions. Do you meet the criteria? Ensure again you're honest. Don't lie about your age, because we've seen some people try to do that, and then you get it, and then it becomes embarrassing because it's taken away from you because you didn't meet the terms and conditions. You misrepresented, you lied, and things like that. So, but I'd say the key thing is investing in yourself and finding these opportunities online that would also catapult you into your transition.
Yeah, I love what you have just said. It's a very profound thing to just say, you know, don't misrepresent. That's the one thing I like to tell every person that goes through any of the conversations that we have. You have to have the knowledge, the know-how, and also just, you know, make sure that know-how is tested. You've tested it. You actually know that the things that you know are essentially important in the space that you're in before you start calling yourself, I can be able to do X, Y, Z. And ladies and gentlemen, this is a very, very good time for us to say, wow, it's been amazing to have you. It's 4 minutes to the clock, and I just want to give my panelists some few minutes for them to just tell us what they're doing. And you start to internalize with yourself and wonder, okay, should I be calling Liz? Should I be calling Pauline? Is there value that I can get from what they're doing? So Pauline, what are you currently doing? What should my listeners be looking out for when it comes to Pauline? Okay.
So for me, I help professionals, the ones who feel stuck in their jobs, to find that passion, the areas that they're passionate about. So I coach professionals. So I do one-on-one coaching. But the other thing is I also have a forum that I train professionals also around careers. Yeah, so I run it alternate months. It's called the Ascend Self-Leadership Program. Yeah, and it also exactly what I've been talking about, understanding yourself. Yeah, we start with self. Yeah, so it's a 4-week modular program where we help people discover themselves, their strengths, and get into purpose, yeah, in their careers, yeah, and how they become intentional about building resilient careers, yeah. So that's the second thing that I'm doing. And then the other thing is I also help young people also to discover their talents from an early age. So I also coach young people. We also have the Ignite Youth Leadership Program, yeah, which we also are mainstreaming in schools, high schools, so that they do not have to make the same mistakes that we made. Yeah, and they also don't need to take too long to discover their areas of passion. Yeah, so we're giving them a head start in that area. And then the last thing is, and coming soon, I'm soon launching a book, yeah, which will be the go-to book, yeah, around careers, because I truly believe we don't have a playbook, a proper playbook around careers. And it's been a difficult journey for many to understand what it is, what you need to do in jobs, how do you succeed in careers, and even how do you plan for your life, how do you look at your life in different phases, and what you should be doing in the different phases. So that will be coming soon. Hopefully one day we will come and discuss it here also on One Day.
Yes, yes, I like that. And I just want to let my audience know currently, Pauline is my coach. I was a bit very nervous to actually put her here. And I remember the first time I asked her, I was like, oh my gosh, you're going to see everything that I'm able to do. And I have to say, it has been an amazing experience. I've personally attended the Ascend self-leadership program, life-changing. You might want to just reach out to Pauline and see how you can be able to, get some gems from that particular area. Liz, what are you doing in the market currently? What should my listeners be looking out for when they're hearing about Liz?
Okay, so before I get into that, Pauline, congratulations on your book. Yay. We are looking forward to that book. That's no mean feat. So congrats. So what I do and my contribution is usually assisting people to convert their ideas into intellectual property assets. Yeah, we are always hearing people on social media saying, they stole my idea. It is not the idea that they... So I help you to get out of that space. So they stole my idea and help you package and transform this idea into a property. Our constitution says that intangible creations are also property. So these ideas are transformed into assets and they become your shamba, right? So that's what I basically do. So I think one thing, when I tell people this, I tell them, you know what, we don't patent ideas, we protect the expression of ideas, which simply means that the nature of idea that you have, I help you identify how to protect it and how to turn it into an intangible asset that you can transact and that you can make money with. And as I know that note, I also help you to manage it. So how do you make money? So how do you license it or contracts around it? So I'll give an example of Pauline and her book. So from the idea that she had decided to do a book, so you're able to now write a book. We ensure that now help her go through that process of, what stands out about your book. You might be using common knowledge. So how do we make sure that aside from using that common knowledge, there's that fingerprint that you put out there that stands out so that no one else comes back and does another book and they say, by the way, they borrow so much from her and they start to purport that it's not, Pauline did create something, like it's common or whatever it is. So basically that's what I help generally. So I'm more into protective lawyering than defensive lawyering, which means I am the person you see when you're starting out. So if you're also employed and you want to come up with an innovation that helps you at your workspace, before you get excited to go and pitch to your boss and you've now understood that there's something called intellectual property, you see someone like me, we help you, we understand, we go through your employment contract and see how we negotiate for you, because you might be creating something amazing. You're going to, your boss's profit margins are going to even increase threefold. To see how much, what is your stake, right? Exactly. Is it worth it for you to do it? So those are some of those things. People take it for granted, and then thereafter they start crying. You see people's posts on Facebook, you see in the newspaper, oh, they stole my idea. So for me, that's what I do. Intellectual property law is the area of law that helps you package your ideas into intellectual property assets, which can help you earn money. I think that's a good summary.
Amazing, Liz. Amazing what you have said there, and just how you can be able to see it very practically on how Liz can be able to take the things that you have expressed, they are intangible, and turn them into something that is protected by law so that it can become like your shamba. You have seen how Pauline has spoken about her passion for careers. And there's actually an actual how-to book that's going to come out that you might just want to catch. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say this has been such an easy conversation. I just want to thank my panelists for their time to come to speak to us and just, do it the conversations with Wendy style, no jargon, just a way that we are able to follow through and see how well it can relate to the things that we are doing. It's now 3 minutes past the hour. I just want to say thank you very much for all the comments in the chat box, the questions that has been coming up. If you want to reach us, you can always reach us at info@conversationswithwandy.org. If you are not able to catch the details of both Pauline and Liz, you can check them through the email that came to you once you registered. You can get their details there. And if you have for some reason not been able to access that, please reach out to us. We'll be able to send you towards Pauline and Liz. Again, this has been Conversations with Wendy. I've been very, very pleased to have you here and for your participation. Please continue to like and follow us on our socials. That's LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And I look forward to seeing you right here next time on our next. Thank you very much, and a very lovely day and weekend ahead. Goodbye, people.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Nice weekend and nice meeting you, Liz.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm calling
nice
you.
Weekend.
I'm calling
yes,
you.
for sure. I got you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, and have a very lovely day ahead, people.
See you. Bye-bye.